First of all, congratulations to be on the final 8. It's big. Remember, it's just a game, so it's a part of life. Just have fun. That's the most important. Then on the socials, there's a lot of banter, chat going on. It seems to be the easiest main event ever because I didn't buy in a single bullet. There's a lot of people discussing that. Is there impacting the game? Frank is not in. Yes, you know. There's talks about it. What we'll do now, we'll take a final 8 photo. So I want you to line up. When you are doing this final table, no mobile phone. You're not allowed to check what is happening in the stream. You're not allowed to put on headsets. It's a social game, yeah. So no hoodie, music on, be social, laugh, or not laugh, whatever. Be as you are, of course. But sorry? Once again? No mobile phones. No mobile phones, no texting. You can't have a neighbor watching the stream and giving tips, yeah? No mobile phones. Hard rule. You can go to the toilet, it's up to you, but here, no mobile phone. I hope you have enjoyed the festival. It's a lot of mixed games, decent cash games and stuff like that. So if you can and want to, of course, come to Malta, 15 to 21 on May. When it comes to the champion of the festival, in maybe 2 weeks we'll announce it. But winning this one gives a lot of points, but not enough to win it. You need to have done decent in something else too. Also good to know we play with half an hour delay, and that means that this, what we record now, is being, the commentator will talk about our preps, but also means you can relax in the game. No tells will come from the stream itself. We stream on a channel called twitch.tv/thefestivalog. So if you want your mom to see, then share it, yeah? Cool. So let's have the final 8 photo, and then after that I think we can kick off the game. Great to have you here, boys. Everyone, an applause for final 8!
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are here. The time has finally arrived at the festival series here in Nottingham. It's time for the final table of the main event. As you can see, the players getting their photos taken, getting some of the formalities out of the way. See the final 8 players lined up in front of you. My name is Andrew Headley. I am your commentator, taking you through the action. We look to crown our champion. First place prize money in this main event, £43,000. So for a £450 buy-in, 200k guaranteed, 40k up top is chunks. Very excited. Looking forward to today's action. Like I say, join the booth. Here with me yesterday, back again today, Mr. George Sanford, all the way over from Austria. George, see you. How you doing? Excited.
How are we doing?
Yeah,
absolutely. It's going to be a big one. Another great festival, main event turnout, and all the way up from 4,500. We've got a couple of small jumps there, and then start playing for 5 figures at around the 4th place mark, 12.5k for the efforts there. 18.3k for third, 27.25 for second, and then, as you said, the big daddy up top, 42.5. So it's going to be great. We've got some information from the team here, looking at the career sort of live earnings. Big disparities across the board. So we're going to see some interesting table dynamics develop with that added pressure. And it's not just their first final table. It was probably going to be their first big spot under the lights of the main event feature table. So can't wait to see what occurs.
Very interesting. Always intriguing to see how people adapt.
Yeah.
If you don't have too much experience, maybe your first big final, under the lights on a live stream, you know, can be a challenge to settle in. So it's going to be intriguing to see if the more experienced players do take advantage of any nerves of the others. I'm going to run you through the lineup of players. So in seat 1, we have Mr. Endrit Getche, Coventry Reg, local favourite, sitting with 17.2 million in chips. Then we have Georgi Simon, sitting with 9.1 mil. Dmitry Dudakov, chip leading, has a big chip lead, 38.2 million. Then we have Ignacio Menendez sitting on 7.5 million. Mark van der Woerden sitting on 19.6, second in chips. Michael O'Brien sitting with 8,075,000 in chips. Sean O'Donnell with just a shade under 19 mil. And then we have Vegard Andreasen. He is on the short stack with 4.4 million. And guys, that is our lineup for today. As you can see, £4,500 for our next place finisher, all the way up to that top prize of £42,500. Cards are about to be in the air. We are coming to you on a 30-minute delay from Dusk Till Dawn card room here in Nottingham. And it's almost time to start the journey towards crowning the champion, Gio.
Absolutely. Just having a look at some of the info on the total live earnings from the Hendon Mob, one of our partners here at the festival. Endrit, the only one above 100,000 in live earnings. So there should be a lot of cagey play, I would guess, from that, and just a lot of people that are going to be making a personal best in terms of their best ever live score and putting a serious increase into their total live earnings. So it's all to play for here. Can't wait to get started.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting. So without further ado, let's get into the action. Does fold round to the blinds in our first hand of the day, and Dimitri, he is our chip leader, and immediately with an opportunity to put the pressure on, would not be surprised to see a jam here for 13 bigs.
Yep.
He does go with 3x, which is pretty interesting. Actually would have expected him just to jam. You know, Ignacio does have that pressure of money jumps. There is a stack shorter than him at the table, but Dimitri does decide to just go for the 3x. And he calls off the 13 big blind rejam, and Ignacio in great shape to double on the first hand of the day. What a start this could be.
What a start, yeah. The interesting jam as well. I didn't think we'd want to induce a hand like ace-4.
Yeah, I would have expected Dimitri just to rip it pre, but he does go with raise call.
Mm-hmm.
Turn is an ace. Ignacio holding. Just has to fade a 4 on the river. And that is a full double up for Ignacio on hand 1.
What a start.
The final table.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're dreaming of there. Coming in as a fairly short stack, just hoping for a spin, hoping for the best. And instantly receiving the biscuits in the first hand. Very well done, sir. And I'm sure as he takes a deep breath there, I believe he had 8,000 in total live earnings. So
wow,
that's in dollars as well. So he's basically surpassed that with one score now. So big one for him.
That is unbelievable, Gio. When you wake up this morning, you know, you might have had a somewhat nervy night's sleep, thinking to yourself, okay, I'm just going to settle in. And hand 1, you're all in as a big favourite. And he holds and doubles up to 15 million, around about 30 big blinds. Guys, we are playing 30-minute blind levels, currently 250,000, 500,000 blinds. The clock was stopped last night with around about 14 minutes left of the 250, 500k blind level. It should be fast and furious, 30-minute blinds, so a relatively turbo structure for a big final. It'll be interesting to see how the players adapt. You know, you can't sit around too long, Gio, even though you do want to ladder up if you're one of those medium stacks.
Yeah, absolutely. And the important thing, though, at the same time is not to rush it, because it's so... I've had that a few times on big final tables where you go in there, you know, you slightly change your process before the day, you do much more healthier habits and stuff like that, get in there feeling pumped up, and then you just overdo it. So it is important to sort of get your bearings, get comfortable, and then see what occurs. But as Ignacio had there, if you do have a spot that you just can't avoid, take it and hope for the best.
And here we go. Dimitri flexing the big stack, is electing to try and put some pressure on Endrit straight away. You will see this happen often. Endrit is not going to want to get it in with a marginal spot against the chip leader. Would be an absolute disaster to finish 8th, coming into this final table in 3rd place. Very interesting spot. Does have a somewhat strong holding, King, Queen of Clubs. And he 4-bet rips it. Absolutely fearless stuff from Endrit. And a very shaky start from Dimitri, doubling up Ignacio. And then the failed 3-bet bluff attempt on Endrit. He's come to win, Gio.
Yeah, that's Endrit in a nutshell. And in terms of theory there, King Queen suited is one of the better 4-bet jam sort of candidates if you are up against a particularly wide and aggressive chip leader that will be having a lot of these kind of ace-x, weaker ace-x 3-bet folds, just utilizing the blocker. So I think they're a really well-played hand there by Endrit. And we're going to see a lot more of this from him. He's an extremely fearless opponent. His biggest score online is 650k, which was in a multi-day 3k on party. So, he's gonna be here to play.
Very nice. Also important in that, as a spot like that, it does set the tone. Kind of says to the chip leader, I'm not going to be pushed around. I'm not here to just raise fold a bunch of hands, and let you push me about. And I wonder what Dimitri is thinking, because it's never nice to dust off 10 million or so in chips within the first 3 hands.
Yeah, 3rd hand in, and now we see ace-9 suited dominating his ace-6 open as well. So it's a lot of possibilities here for him to lose even more chips if he were to be outkicked on the flop. But yeah, just a disaster start, and maybe might want to just hit the brakes a little bit and cool himself down. It's been rough so far.
Yeah. And Mark, again, not scared of the chip leader open, is going to 3-bet from the small. Quite a small sizing, 5.5 bigs. Would have liked to have seen a little larger. We don't really want to give Dimitri odds to peel, but fortunately for him, Dimitri waking up with the ace-6 off. And wow, yeah, Dimitri, might be time to cool your jets just for a couple of hands. And, settle back into the flow. Guys, if you are just joining us, this is the Festival Series main event final table. I am Andrew Headley in the booth with Mr. George Sanford. We are going to be here until the conclusion of this final table. And it's playing relatively shallow, Gio.
Yeah, I was looking around the chip stacks. Looks like about 25 to 30 BB average, I think is fair to say. Which, yeah, does allow some play, but as you've seen already from the chip leader, losing around, just over 1/3 of his stack. So things can swing pretty fast in this game. And as a medium stack for the guys in there kind of battling it out with about 25 to 30 bigs, they've got to be thinking about, are the chips that I might win going to be worthwhile, or should I just duck and dive and make sure I secure a couple of ladders? So it's going to be interesting to see how what their game plan is. Are they going to go balls to the wall, or are they going to cower behind the sofa?
Yeah, very well put. And Dimitri, we said it might be time to just chill for a while. Well, he does have pocket tens.
Yeah,
not to be folding that.
No rest
Comes
for poor
in
old
for the
Dimitri.
This might be, perhaps the first sign of some inexperience. I know we do a lot of defending with suited hands, but as you get to the final table, you really want to tighten up that defend range, even with suited combos. I would have liked to just seen a fold pre here from Sean. He's not going to get in too much trouble on this flop, but I'll be intrigued to see if people are defending too wide off these sort of large to middling stacks.
Yeah, you're right. It's very common, isn't it? These chippy DV defends just go way down when you're out of position versus someone that has a license to put in multiple barrels, because you should be overfolding compared to normal in these spots, just because of the marginal ones become obviously less advantageous for you, and often we have seen a pretty ferocious start from Dimitri, and I think a sign of what's to come from him. He's just going to be putting his foot on the gas, and yeah, defending the 7-2 there. We can't flop a straight. We can flop a flush, sure. How much of the time does that happen compared to all the times we flop bottom, middle pair, and kind of have to call one, and it all gets a little bit dicey.
Yeah, absolutely. I think also important to note that Dimitri is going to be opening very wide. So he will have hands, you know, like a queen eight of diamonds that opens almost pure. And you can end up getting coolered a lot more often than you would in the sort of mid stages of a tournament. In any case, not too much damage done to Sean. Now, Endre under the gun with the 7-8 of spades, showing some, you know, knowledge there of chip distributions, does let it go. Dimitri, it's the Dimitri show.
Wow.
Pocket jacks in there again. Very interesting because it may look to the table as if he's a little tilted from that bad start.
Yeah, I mean, he's been in every hand, right? Is this the fifth hand, and it's fifth time that
he
we've
may
seen him in
have
a
100% VPIP.
Yeah.
Now Sean is going to call with the ace-10 off.
Yeah, another example of a little bit of a misstep here from Sean. There isn't really much good to come from this peel, especially this is an aggressive opponent out of position, marginal spot. I think I would just fold.
Yeah, would expect a small c-bet here, around about quarter pot is the standard. Sean just snap pitches the ace-10 into the muck. Part of the problem of these defends is that we really can't go down the streets. So much ICM money pressure on us that you don't get to float or call as wide as you normally would post-flop. And Dimitri does stabilize after that rocky start. Back up to the 30 million mark. Endre and Mark neck and neck in second and third. Sean and Ignacio then also neck and neck in fourth and fifth. We are seeing some little gaps in chips, 3 shortish stacks. Then we have the 2 middling stacks, and then 2 people chasing down Dimitri at the top of the leaderboard with 30 million. Not much table talk today, Gio. You would expect it to be all business and a few nerves in the mix.
Yeah, very common theme of the final tables here at the festival and just in live poker in general. Does tend to be relatively cagey, relatively businesslike, and people are just literally, you know, composing themselves. It is really tough. It's easy for us commentators to say in the comfort of our own homes, but yeah, under the lights, it can get really hot and sweaty and nervous out there. It's a very tough position to be in, especially when you're playing for so much money as well.
Yeah, for sure. I've made that mistake many times myself. This is the business end, and it is very important to stay sort of focused, relaxed, take your time, because one misstep really can make all the difference. Guys in the Twitch chat, welcome along, and those following us on YouTube, feel free to engage with myself and Gio as we go through this final table. I'm being asked for the payouts. See if we can get our mods to sort that out so that they come up in the Twitch chat. It is £42,500 for the win in this £450 buy-in. Very good runners it got, Gio, and 42.5k, pretty sweet.
Yeah, no mean feat, 42.5k. That would be, as far as I can tell, everyone apart from Endrick's biggest score. So much to play for here. Liking the look of Dimitri's game, to be honest. Obviously, he has had a decent run of cards and was unfortunate with the all-in and whatever else, but does seem unfazed. Doesn't seem to be letting it get to him. I've commentated on a few of these final tables, and you know, when you've seen a chip leader that comes in and loses a chunk of their stack early days, often the frustration shows, and just seem to be getting along with business.
Yeah, I would agree completely. Now, Sean into the mix again with the pocket sixes. Is going to open. Takes it down uncontested.
Yeah.
One thing I do like about fearless play at finals, you know, we can say to Sean, okay, that might have been a little light, or, you know, but he's here to win. And it does make for real entertainment Often at the higher stakes, I think, at the real high levels, people are just so aware that they're not supposed to enter pots, and it can be a little bit dry. Not the
Yeah.
case here at the Festival Series. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this plays out.
Exactly. Massive disparity and massive differences between ICM ranges and the normal chip EV stuff, and you know there is a lot of unsure and sort of difficulty in applying that for any level of player. So when you do see the super high roller bosses that have got it all figured out, it can be a little bit dry and a little bit sort of robotic. But here we're just going to see people kind of beat to the sound of their own drum and learn on the fly, and that's the fun thing.
A nice example there of awareness from Ignacio folding the King 10 of diamonds under the gun. I like it. Off 28 big blinds. Don't want to be opening very wide, especially from early position.
Exactly.
Great start for him. Georgie does complete with the Queen 7 of diamonds off around 15 bigs. Dimitri content to check the Jack 8. Would expect him to ISO a lot of hands, but this one falls happily into the check. And Georgie flopping trip 7s. Now, can he find a check? We shouldn't have too many hands that want to just limp stab here against a big blind range. He does find it, which I really like to see.
Really nice play. Yeah, aware about this texture being slightly disadvantageous for him and not just kind of playing the strength of his hand.
For sure. Also like to see check call. Is going to be aware that Dimitri is going to push very often here with the chip lead, and Dimitri does continue to barrel.
Yeah, just the no equity barrel.
Yeah, makes sense that Georgie wouldn't have too many ace-X. Lots of them would shove pre.
Exactly.
For 15 bigs. So Dimitri targeting hands like a king high. You know, perhaps a hand like 8-9, something like this, just to get it out the pot. And Georgie loving life, finding another check call. He's playing it beautifully so far.
Yeah,
River is the king of clubs. Now, is Dimitri going to shut this down?
I think he's seen a very active chip leader here, and he's just giving them as much rope as possible. And Dimitri there, clubless, blockless.
I really like the give up, yeah.
Yeah, clubless, blockless, and hopeless. I was about to say as a bluff on the river. So we will let him off there. I think some pretty decent efficiency in both of the bets. The flop bet just to clean out anything, you know, queen high kind of air, and then the turn bet. Yeah, as you say, just sort of having a little lean upon some of those maybe backdoor draws, gut shots, or king highs. And nicely done.
Yeah, very well analysed, my friend. It's been an action-packed start for Dimitri.
Yeah, right.
But he does look chilled. He doesn't look phased by it, as you referenced. Interesting to see how things go. Blinds have gone up, as we referenced. Final table playing relatively shallow. Going to be a lot of pressure on the mid to low stacks within the next sort of 30 minutes to an hour, I would say. Does fold around to the button. And it's going to be another battle of the blinds. Dimitri with the king 6, and he keeps running into it. I would expect him to raise pre-flop often here with the chip lead, but he does come with limp.
Yeah, I would use this hand as sort of like a 3.2x fold kind of hand. Personally, it seems kind of natural for me.
Yeah, use that king blocker, Ignacio. Not going to be able to defend very wide. He's been somewhat unfortunate, in fairness. Dimitri keeps running into premiums.
Yeah, he's going to look back at this. You know, this is the issue when you are the chip leader. You know that at a decent level of poker, people understand that they should start fighting back against your weaker range in some spots. But he's really just faced a pretty elite 4-bet jam from Endrit, and the rest of the time he's just been up against a hand. So
yeah.
I think a frustrating one, and it's annoying when it goes like this, and it's easy to sort of get into a negative headspace
It really is. You can feel like you're being absolutely owned.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
sure he will be informed on breaks, etc. from friends. But for the
Yeah.
most part, he just run into it.
He's been doing some press ups. He's been listening to a bit of Taylor Swift this morning, jumping about the hotel room, and all of a sudden he's just getting 3-bet, 4-bet check raised. It's it's not what he wanted.
For sure. Just running through some of the comments on Twitch. Thanks for joining us, guys. We have a lot of support for a lot of different players. Good luck, Mark. We have Go Estonia Go. Come on, Nacho. Have fun, Picasso and George. Mr. Wacky Jackson, love to see it. And from the man himself, Frankia, he says, I love you, Picasso and Gio. Bring in the love.
That's a man in touch with his feminine side right there. We love that. Both of us are a bit of a couple of softies as well, aren't we? So we will share the love round.
All right. Now that we have finished discussing such matters, Dimitri, he's coming up empty yet again.
Wow.
Does open the Queen 9 of Spades, excuse me. Mark with a very easy defend with King Queen. And you would expect Dimitri to c-bet this board quite often. He really is running into it a lot.
Question is, does Mark want to check raise now, or is he also sort of in tune with the fact that Dimitri has been
barreling away?
Yeah, and just going to say, look, I'm just going to cling on here.
I mean, typically here, King Queen, we are going to raise very, very often. But yeah, the fact that we are at a final table, so check raise ranges do tighten up considerably. And also, yeah, Dimitri has been firing away. And Mark just drills the King of Diamonds on the turn. Dimitri drawing dead. Very well advised to shut this down. Does find turn check. I would expect Mark to bet here. Somewhat problematic. It's very difficult to represent a pure bluff now. Hearts get there. We don't have too many hands. Like, for example, even an 8-9 facing 1.6 million on the flop is going to fold.
8-6 and 6-4 suited only, really. The offsuit ones would just get out of their pre-flops. So yeah, like 6 combos of bluffs and just a lot of natural King X and flushes here. I don't think he's going to check raise a hand like Queen 10 of hearts on the flop. It's just gonna try and realize. So yeah, tough to get paid there, but you can't really check, so left with no other option.
Yeah, nice river sizing. Does go for the small block type size. Definitely feasible that we could block a hand like 7x here, just knowing that it is good when Dimitri checks turn.
Maybe just opening the door back to Dimitri, who may arrive there with some, a lot of offsuit in his pre-flop opening range, maybe a 1-heart hand that might be tempted to raise. He's obviously never folding the King Queen, so potentially just allowing the door to open for a bit of counter aggression from Dimitri, but he does wave the white flag, and well done to him for doing so.
Absolutely. Gio. So guys, anyone just joining, this is the Festival Series coming to you from Dusk Till Dawn Card Room in Nottingham. This is our main event final table. And myself and Gio, we will be taking you through all of the action until we crown our champion later this evening. The chat is buzzing today. You'll love to see it. It's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, just typing in there, asking people to, if you are enjoying the stream, please share. Like to eclipse our previous final table coverage Twitch numbers. I think we got to about 400, 450 at one point, so it would be lovely if we could eclipse that.
Yeah, beautiful. And speaking of holding their horses, Ignacio came to play, opening the deuce 3 of diamonds on the button.
The dirty diaper, I believe it's called.
Oh, the dirty diaper.
Yeah, that's the offsuit. He's gone for the clean diaper, I guess, but a diaper nonetheless.
Very awkward spot here from Mark. I would like to have seen shove pre if we're going to continue with this hand. Ignacio with around about 20 big blinds behind is opening on the button, is going to have enough raise folds when we jam sixes. And when a board like this comes out, we are liable to lose the pot. And Ignacio does find a c-bet with his bottom pair. And Mark really in between a rock and a hard place. Gonna have to let it go, and Ignacio finding a way to win that pot. He's had a rapid start, trebling up since the start of play.
And what we need to remember is that these guys have obviously put a lot of hours in against each other in the days before, so there will be some out of line plays that may not appear to look by the book, but gets it done and finds a nice board to take a stab at it, getting the sixes to fold there. Mark, as you say, slightly too passive pre-flop. Plenty of reason there for Ignacio to open the button with a hand. And yeah, remember on these final tables that, yeah, you can open wide, but having to call off there is extremely tough. So there is what we call a big raise fold gap in a lot of his range.
For sure. And if he's opening the deuce three of diamonds, that gap
Yeah,
is that gap is very wide indeed.
You can fit a double-decker bus in that gap. Yeah, exactly.
I'm excited. It looks as if we're going to see a few non-standard plays, and that is what we love in the booth. Now, Ignacio, you've opened the deuce three. I would imagine he's going to come for a raise with ace five, and he does.
Getting a big upgrade here, yeah.
I would imagine that this will work also.
Yeah, that should do it. Sean with the kind of hand that can elect to 3-bet fold, I think. I think I saw some of these final table sims, and it's like the weaker offsuit queen X is kind of in there. Queen 6e, queen 5, queen 4 kind of stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, typically when we start getting shallow, round about the sort of 35 bigs sort of realm, we start to use these blockery, trashy, one high, one low cards as our 3-bet bluffs. But I think with ICM here, you really just want to play snug, wait for some of these short stacks to get out the door, and then open up.
Funny, the player there with the big blind just folding. He looks like the effer right in the pussy guy. Have you ever seen that?
I did not see who was on the screen. And Gio, I'm going to leave you out on an island of your own with that one.
It's a guy who, there was like a newscast on America that got caught sort of, they were live when he thought he was off camera, and he said that, and then some guy who was sat in his room watching decided to take it on and to try and get like cameo appearances in the local news and shout out that phrase, and it looks exactly like this geezer here.
Oh, you know, when I do my preparation for these final tables, I like to think of subjects that we may cover.
You didn't
Things
have that one,
that might be in the public consciousness. Gio, you've thrown me for a loop. But Dimitri finding the ace-7 offsuit raise, very aware here that people will be playing tight, continuing the aggression. I do like it, is of course a wide open, but does have that ace blocker. Nice pickup.
Very important on the FT, the ace blocker, and it's just sending a message, Dimitri, even though his stack has gone south somewhat. He's the type of player that the less experienced, let's say, the recreational players on the table will fear. They've seen him basically been in every pot taking an aggressive action when entering most of the time, and that's not going to be easy to play against. So good stuff from him.
Yeah, absolutely, my friend. Guys, this is the Festival Series final table here in Notts. If you want to check out any of our future events or anything Festival Series related, please go to thefestival.com. We have our schedule for this Festival Series in Malta has been released this week, taking place 14th to the 21st of May at the Portomasso Casino. It's going to be huge, so please check out the schedule and get your plans made based on, you know, the recent Festival Series in Bratislava and here in Nottingham. It's just going from strength to strength, and we hope you will join us in Malta. And if you want to follow anything happening at Dusk Till Dawn, please check out our socials at DTD Club and at DTD Live on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, absolutely. And the unique thing about the festival is it blends together a lot of people from different backgrounds in and out of poker. It's more of a I would say gaming experience. You know, you've got blackjack tournaments, roulette tournaments, which were a lot of fun and kind of cap your losses in some ways. So moving them into a more of a tournament format is great for people that maybe don't like poker, but within the poker sphere as well. Plenty of different types of games across the tournament schedule and all kinds of different cash games on offer. So really does tick all the boxes.
Yeah, very well said. Somewhat surprised there to see Vegard fold the small. He does only have 5 big blinds, 9-10 off Obviously, we're not thrilled to jam this hand, but it's going to do more than well enough against a single range in the big blind. And, we are the shortest, not going to get many opportunities to jam. I think I would have run that spot, personally.
Yeah, me too. I think it's really important to take those as well. There's 2 big blinds in there. Yeah, the amount of folds means that the big blind is on average going to have a slightly better hand than usual, but 10 high, fairly connected. You still get a load of snap folds. Really need to be picking up those chips, and only one player to get through. So I agree with you there.
Yeah, Vegard electing to wait and try and get it in slightly with a stronger hand. Endrit in the small blind with ace-jack.
Yeah, what are they? About 18 big blinds effective here, 19 big blinds.
Yeah, I would expect to see Endrit open shove this hand quite often. He's very aware of, the pressure on Georgie. Can't call very wide. Ace-jack actually works quite well as a jam. It looks as if he's just going to come in for a raise. And to be fair, Georgie isn't going to defend very wide. Endrit may actually think that he can just get away with raised fold and some strong hands if it comes to it. But Georgie does defend the 10-7 off. Somewhat surprising.
Not a fan of this at all, to be honest. When Endrit, who is going to have an open shoving range, does go for an ISO, it means that he's going to be quite polarized, right? He's going to have, and by the looks of it for Endrit, ace-jack plus and maybe a hand like eights plus. And the rest of it is going to be high card, low card kind of stuff that we mentioned earlier, or just complete air. And 10-7 is not doing very well at all against that range. So
yeah, I would agree completely. Endrit going to come in for a c-bet. Yeah, and Georgie does have to wave the white flag.
Yeah, and when you do defend offsuit, look, he has flopped kind of not terribly for his hand. He's got a backdoor straight draw, backdoor flush draw, but he's still forced to fold. So this is something that one street before could have been kind of avoided.
Yeah, part of the problems of playing number 1 at an FT with big pay jumps, and number 2 very shallow, very difficult to progress down the streets unless we nail the board. In any case, Dimitri and Endrit is slowly reining in that chip lead.
Oh yes. No surprise whatsoever to me. I think that we're going to see him play both snug and extremely loose aggressive. He's going to be very fluid, and he's going to understand when is the time to go for it and when's the time to, just kind of kick the tires for a little bit and have a little wander about and let everyone else drive into each other, let's say.
Absolutely. And Michael, right on time, 9 big blinds, wakes up with pocket kings. He is going to send it.
Yeah, I like this. No messing about. Let's just get it in. We don't want to open 2x. Maybe the big blind defends and we get out flopped or something. And then you also have that other short stack in there. So no reason, I think, to induce off of such a short stack at this point.
Sean does get out of the way with the ace-6 of spades. Now, Georgie, do you want to gamble? Pocket 5s in the small.
Yeah, based on that last hand.
It's a good laydown.
Okay. Yeah,
not going to be doing too well against the open jam range from Michael and EP. Yeah. And Dimitri also recognizing that his suited ace-x not doing very well. 2 good folds from the blinds.
Where would you draw the line?
Takes down a small one.
Where would you draw the line in terms of pairs in the small blind there? Is it 9s, 10s?
I'd like to see the full chip distribution in front of me, being the poker nerd that I am. Very difficult. Probably 8s or something, I think. Yeah. Facing a 9 big blind jam. Might even be a little tighter than that. It really depends how close together all the stacks are bunched.
Yeah, and also the fact that he's less incentivized to jam these, I don't think he's jamming a hand it's just a complete guess, to be honest, but I would imagine he wouldn't jam a hand like King Jack suited or Ace Jack off, I think, with the big short stack there. I think he'd probably just wait to see what happened with the other guy.
Yeah, that is fair. It does become a complicated situation. Yeah, typically you don't really want to be all in and called as one of the sort of mid to low stacks. As you see the graphic on our screen there, the festival in Malta, as I was referencing earlier, May
Yeah, you can't
15th
miss
to
it.
21st. Gonna be big. Yeah, you cannot miss the graphic. That's very true. It looks like the font from The Simpsons back in the day.
Yeah, just in the background of the clouds.
The festival. Oh dear. Many apologies for that high-pitched singing voice of mine. But, you know, we like to keep it fun here at the festival series.
It's a lovely falsetto you've got there, pal.
Thank you, sir. Michael, gonna ditch the Queen 3 of diamonds. Vegard, it is time to pump it in. Ace-Jack off with his 5 big blinds. Endrit in a kind of gross spot here once Vegard jams.
Yeah.
It is only 2.9 million. Vegard should have a very wide get-in range here as the very, very short stack at the table.
Yeah, I think it's fairly trivial, isn't it? You just kind of call and then fold to action behind.
Wow, Endrit, look at the awareness. He just gets out of the way.
That is impressive.
Very nice lay down.
It's impressive because if he wins that, and I'm pretty sure he's doing like well against that range if Vegard is shoving anything close to correctly. If he wins that, he would go for chip leader, and that would just give him some extra ammunition to take on. And if he loses, it doesn't really affect his position at the table. So
yeah, and Endrit possibly aware that from playing with Vegard in previous days, perhaps may know that his get-in range there is much, much tighter than than some might be. Also, it's not always the worst thing to keep the shortest stack in there if you believe you're going to be able to get lots of opens through. Could be something he's considering.
Absolutely, yeah, that's an interesting one. Looking forward to asking him about that one. Might be something I miss.
As we referenced, not much table talk. We like to let you listen in. I'm sure they will loosen up as they start to move up the money jumps and relax a little bit. But very quiet final table.
Dimitri's been active, but the 4-deuce a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah. Full round to Ignacio does come in for the complete with the King 5 of diamonds. Mark with an interesting decision pre. You can do a bunch of ISO in here, knowing that Ignacio is not going to be able to limp call too often facing aggression, and he is going to go for it. I like this. Want to choose some trash hands to go along with your value. Going to make it 3.5 bigs to go. Ignacio, as we've seen, not scared to come to play, does limp call.
Yeah, slightly too deep to go for the limp jam with this hand, although I think it would be a reasonable option, but he's doing okay-ish versus the ISO range. It wasn't massive. I've seen people go sort of 4.2, this kind of like really putting the pressure on these limp calls. I think 3.5 just allowed him to see a flop and get in there nicely.
This is going to get very interesting. Mark, with the absolute bag of nothing, the 9 deuce does come for c-bet. He has a pretty big range advantage in general. Ignacio not going to have many ace king or ace queen, if any at all. Is of course going to limp shove these hands. And yeah, this is not a great card to continue our bluff story, but Mark with the 9 high, is he going to go for it?
Repping pretty thin now. If we are taking off pre with all of these offsuit combos, it's so easy to lean on the side of over bluffing and having all of these like 10-3 offs, jack 2 offs, or whatever as the bare gut shots, and then even if you use like the 9-2 would be a bit torchy. So Ignacio now Interesting. I don't think I would bet here. I think I would just try and take this one to showdown or allow another chance for my opponent to potentially bluff.
Yeah, I think check is very reasonable. We're going to have a bunch of sort of King X and Queen X type hands. He goes for the large sizing also.
Yeah, I don't understand what he's trying to do there, because if you think about the ISO range pre, there's not really going to be like much of this kind of linear, there's not going to be a queen jack off in there. There's not going to be a queen 10 off. I think these hands are just very natural checkbacks. So we're not really targeting anything there. I think maybe a little misstep.
Yeah, I would have liked to see a little river check, perhaps give Mark a chance to delayed bluff river. But Ignacio, with a brilliant start at this final, came in with around about 6 million, doubled up on the first hand. He's up in the 20 million realm now. There's about 4 stacks, all very close to neck and neck at the top of the leaderboard. Should be exciting to see who comes out on top.
Yeah, when we got the chip counts and we saw how much our Estonian player had, it was, whoa, we thought he's going to run away with it maybe because everyone else looked so short. But, the pack and the peloton have caught up, and that's what we like to see. We like to see a nice sprint finish rather than...
Interesting spot here for Vegard. With around about 7 bigs. It does send in the pocket 4s.
Yeah.
Could just about be the stone bottom of our range, but we can't wait around for too long or the blinds are going to eat us up. And he does get it through.
Big blind ante as well. He's going to be down to, again, that 4.5 big blind threshold in 3 hands. So maybe just thinking, look, it's gonna look strong when I jam. Maybe I can get some slightly better pocket pairs to fold in the next couple of seats to my left, and just hope to get it through and move on. And he does. So back to joint bottom now rather than being clear bottom. So he's made some progress in the last orbit. He'll be happy with that.
For sure, so big to get these jams through. All about timing, Gio, as we know, especially at big finals. Guys, this is the Festival Series main event final table. £42,500 for the win. We're coming to you from Dusk Till Dawn Card Room right here in Nottingham. We're on a 30-minute delay. And we are playing a 30-minute blinds clock. So the action is going to get fast and furious as the blinds go up. Playing a pretty shallow average stack. The player's going to come under some pressure pretty soon, you would think.
Yeah, absolutely. We were expecting to do final 2 table coverage today, but everyone's just been battling, been in the midsa, coming out, dropping like flies. So 8 left, and we are waiting for the first bust out. But the longer it goes on, levels going up, it's only going to get cagier and cagier for those short stacks. So we've seen Vegard kind of make his move from the back of the pack, starting to chase, and onus on Michael now.
It's going to be really, really interesting as the blinds get up there to see how people adapt. Georgie under the gun +1 with the ace-9 off. You would expect a fold in general. So we just wait for our graphics to catch up. Does elect to come in for the light open with the ace-9 off.
Yeah, the tank pre-flop open. Anyone that's kind of got an eagle eye on that might suspect that maybe it's a hand that he's deciding whether I should open or not. Unlikely to be having some kind of stronger holding potentially, although it's easier to say that when we can see the whole cards for sure. Could be a bit of Hollywood with the blades.
I really like this laid down from Mark in general. Lots of Georgie's, even his, steals from EP. Going to be hands like ace jack off, king queen off, king jack off potentially. So queen jack suited doing very badly against steals. and obviously crushed against his value range. Very disciplined fold, facing a 15 big blind open, showing some experience there and laying it down. I like it. And Georgie gets it through.
Solid stuff. It's good to stick to the principles of the final table play, isn't it? And not kind of get entranced by these pretty looking hands that once you kind of put together your opponent's range, you realize the value of them just go down so drastically.
Doesn't it break your heart though, Gio? Queen Jack of Spades in the
beauty.
cutoff.
Yeah.
And you have to just throw it away.
Yeah, you just want to be sitting there 100 big blinds deep and piecing the guy up, but you can't. You just got to muck it. Unfortunate.
I like the fold. Blinds are about to go up, guys. As I mentioned earlier, we are on a 30-minute clock. Really going to start putting pressure on these players, all in the hunt for 42.5k right here in Nottingham. Georgie, fresh off the ace-9. Well, if the ace-9 worked, I'd expect him to open ace-10. Does come in for another raise. Good to have some raise folds here in our early position. And this will be one of them. Sean has had enough of folding though. Does come in for a call. Again, as we referenced the Queen Jack suited fold a moment ago, the problem with coming in with these hands is you're often dominated by the steal range of early position. We can see he is crushed by Georgie's ace-10, but Sean doesn't care.
Gets rewarded.
Drills the flop.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen mostly a fold and then occasionally a small 3-bet here from Sean. I think that would be the way to go.
Yep.
But does call and gets rewarded for that. And Georgie, no reason to suspect that his opponent is going to smash this flop.
Yeah, Georgie does go for the c-bet, and Sean has snap jammed.
Yeah. Absolute heap of equity, tough to really get it wrong. And you know what? He could occasionally fold out a hand like 8s and 7s that's just kind of stabbing and trying to dictate the flow of play. So, you know, some reasonable outcomes there for Sean. And after a loose pre-flop peel, a nice aggressive play there just to take it down and deny the equity from his opponent.
Yeah, very well put, my friend. As we can see, the stacks so closely bunched together. Can see there being some very difficult decisions here as we get up to the big pay jumps. It's just so close between everybody.
Yeah, 800k big blind now as well, so already kind of a dent to the short stacks. Having to pay that extra 200k for the blind and the ante, extra 100k for the small blind. It's getting expensive out there, and it's going to be tricky for these guys to last a couple more orbits. So now is the time. Michael in the hijack, ace-6 off. Ooh, it's not ideal, but he does take it.
Yeah, it seems reasonable to me. We do only have 6.5 bigs. People's calling ranges are gonna be very tight. We're never thrilled about it, but he does send in the ace-6 off.
Yeah, it's a very uncomfortable one, isn't it? You're just like, come on, give me a 10 or something at least, or you look down at the ace and you think, right, I'm jamming here, and then the 6 or the deuce, that kind of fills you with a little bit of fear, but does go for it. And Sean, he's out Vanguard here. I'm not sure what he's thinking about.
I think we are round to Georgie, and he also has a gross one.
Ooh.
Oh, it's nasty business. I think this is a fold, though. We still have fold equity. As we saw, the stacks are very closely bunched. We're going to be dominated often here by like the king jacks, king queen type hands. I like fold.
Yeah,
lay it down.
We're dominated by much more than we're dominating in that spot. I think that it's fair that Michael would take a king 9 suited, a 10-9 suited, a jack 10, and a queen 10 suited, but not a lot else. So I think a disciplined one.
Yeah, I like fold. Just not quite strong enough to call. I'm going to see lots of spots like that for players, I believe.
Yeah, I'd probably flick it in
Super
with king
shallow.
queen there.
Yeah. Ignacio, our big mover so far, more than tripling up since the start of play. Let's put it out there, Gio. It's time for a little side bet for fun and games.
Okay, go
Who's
on.
taking this down? I'm going to take Ignacio. He started fast. He's in the mix, raising the deuce three of diamonds.
Yeah, I hate to be predictable, but as I do like to live a spontaneous lifestyle, but I'm going to go for my man from Albania, the online warlord, Endrit. He may look small, but he packs a punch. He's the man.
Online warlord. Well, speaking of packing a punch, Vegard, you've woken up with the aces with 5.5 big blinds. Be praying to get called here. Does send the chips in. Oh, Dimitri, not again.
Oh no,
He's
no,
been
Dimitri.
running bad.
It's been brutal for him so far.
Does
Looks
look
like,
very interested.
yeah, it looks like he's representing OptiBet, which is one of the Estonian partners of the festival. So a lot of support for him in the chat as well. King 10-0, similar kind of spot to last hand.
He is in the big blind, so that is going to make it more of a call with his chip stack.
Call.
Gonna get the very bad news.
So frustrating when you just get shown aces here when you make sort of the bottom call,
yeah,
and you're expecting to see all of these combos that you do well again, and you just kind of think to yourself, Jesus, why on earth did I bother?
So Vegard looking to hold up with the aces. Not much there for Dimitri. Couple of backdoor straight draws. Vegard with that ace of clubs. And drawing dead on the turn, Dimitri. Big double up for Vegard and right back into the hunt. Does improve to aces full on the river. Up to 10 million. And, you know, he was down at 2.9, Gio. The lad is on the move.
He's on the move, and he's not even at the back of the pack. He's joining the peloton now, so we like to see it. I mean, that's as clean as it gets, isn't it?
It really is.
7, 2 clubs. We've got the club. He's just got backdoor 2 pair and some backdoor gutties. Yeah, lovely stuff.
And the Twitch chat, by the way, goes wild for Vegard. Heaps and heaps of support. Very, very nice. There's no better feeling. Pocket aces when you really need that FT double. And yeah, pretty smooth sailing post flop up to 10 million. Yeah, and Dimitri, who has had an adventurous final table, Gio, so far to say the least.
Yeah, very high VPIP. He's been in the mix, and let's see now. He's had the sort of second big chink in the armor. What's his game plan going to be? Is he just going to continue to put his foot on the gas, or is he going to drop back? Last time I said that, well, he hasn't really dropped back at all. He'd been still going for it, and now all of a sudden, sort of joining the middle of the pack, and it's going to be interesting for him. One more significant pot, and all of a sudden he's gone from chip leader to one of the short stacks. What a disaster.
He's going to be very frustrated. Had 38 million chips coming into this final, and all of a sudden you are dragged into that sort of very awkward middle of the pack 20 big blind realm.
Yeah.
Wow, Georgie not messing around. Takes the very wide button jam. 7 bigs ripping in the queen 3 off. We've seen from some of Georgie's opens and the 10-7 defend. He's here to win, so in it goes and gets it through.
Yeah, not sure about the hand selection, but he is on the button. He's got two medium stacks to shove into that, you know, don't necessarily want to risk sort of 30-40% of their stack there with the light holding. So just rips it in and says, look, if I run into it, then so be it. At least I went out swinging, and swinging he was.
Absolutely. Gio. Guys, I am Andrew Headley, commentator for the week here at the Festival Series. joined by my co-coms extraordinaire, Mr. George Sanford, all the way over from Austria. We are coming to you from Dusk Till Dawn, right here in Nottingham. 30-minute blind clock, main event final table, still 8-handed. And you would expect, Gio, there's going to be some eliminations pretty soon. The blinds are getting big.
Yeah, we've been knocking on the door for a little while now, but as you see with the Queen 3, things are starting to get a little bit desperate for the shorter stacks out there, and it's only a matter of time before we're going to see that fatal collision. So hold on to your seatbelts, guys, because this is going to be a pretty wild couple of hours coming up for
Yeah,
us.
it's going to get messy soon. And Dimitri, our man, in there again, does wake up with a premium. Pocket queens on the button.
Yeah, a little bit of respite for him.
Mark with an interesting decision with the King 5-0 does elect to just give it up.
Yeah.
I'm sure Dimitri will be feeling frustrated, but he's been pretty unfortunate so far.
Feels like every other time he's opened, he's been 3-bet. He picks up queens. Yeah, a little bit of a raise of the eyebrow there as he stacks the 2.5 bigs that he's picked up. But you know, you've got to kind of adjust your mindset as final tables ebb and flow. So, you know, what he needs to be telling himself is here, look, I haven't really done much wrong. I've just been kind of battered by the card distribution, and I'm still in it. I'm still healthy, and I've still got a big chance to win a lot of money up top. So, good time to regroup.
Yeah, very important to remain relaxed. Play every chip stack that you have to the best of your ability. I mean, he's still basically joint chip leader here. So very important not to get frustrated. All the decisions very key now, Gio, as they look to ladder up to that 42,500 first place money.
Oh, yes.
Now Dimitri once more is going to enter the pot. Jack 10 in the cutoff.
Yeah, more than enough by his standards, I would say. He's got what looks to be a big blind on the tighter end of things as well. And yeah, good spot, nice pickup. 5 big blinds back. That will be a nice little bit of momentum for him, even though he did not get the action with the queens. He'll be happy now that he's kind of moving back towards where he started the day. And often you see the big chip leaders that come into these final tables, they do play this specific type of style. It's very difficult for someone that plays a little bit too conservatively and a little bit passive to build mountains coming into a final table. So no surprise to see a loose aggressive style from him. And you know, you've got to live by the sword and die by it when you do play that style.
For sure. Now Endrit under the gun 1 with the ace-3 suited. We do typically want to play very tight pre-flop, but he is going to open.
The benefit of having a resume like Endrit's as well is he knows that a lot of the final table opponents are going to have done their research on their fellow opponents, and when you have a resume like his, he's probably going to understand that people are going to just fight back a little bit less, so he can kind of take the mickey with these wider opens.
We did talk about timing, and unfortunately for Endrit, Michael has woken up with the ace-queen. And Endrit gonna be priced in, you would imagine, for just around 6.5 bigs.
Yeah.
Gonna have to take 5 cards with the ace-3 of diamonds.
Yeah.
He's gonna know that he's in bad shape, but the price is gonna be too good.
That's 4 million into 13. Doing pretty well against, well, that's just enough equity versus a hand like queens, for example. He could show 2 queens, and I think we still have to call.
Yeah, he's going to work out, I believe here, that he's going to have to flick it in.
This is very unfortunate.
Would be surprised to see a fold. Not impossible. We are using time bank cards, guys, at this final table. Each player, I believe, given 5 at the start of play. Wow, and he lays it down, makes a very good fold.
Yeah, just picking up on the fact that he doesn't want to sort of allow. He knows that the range is going to be extremely tight, right? So he's just saying, if I fold here, this guy keeps short, and that kind of helps me. Whereas if I call and I know I'm behind, I drop back into the pack maybe. So yeah, very astute laydown there. Tough one to make.
Every chip, of course, very valuable.
Yeah.
And he knows Michael's range, of course, is extremely tight.
Yeah, there's not going to be any suited Broadway in there or anything like that. That's probably going to be ace-10 suited plus and decent pairs, I would imagine. So for that last hand there, he needed, what, 30% equity, but I guess in these kind of spots you add some kind of risk premium or how the future game will affect it?
Yeah, basically what it comes down to, I think Endra is going to perceive that he has a pretty big edge against most of the field with respect.
Yeah.
Probably just thinking to himself, you know, if I can just keep this extra 4.5, 5 million, that gives me opportunities to raise fold maybe 2 or 3 more times. And if he thinks that people will be very honest and not defend too often, and that most of his raises will just get through, probably just doesn't want to run it against, you know, a very dominating range that Michael is basically always going to have in that spot.
Yeah, makes total sense.
Very interesting situation. Also, the fact that this is playing so shallow. You know, chips worth a lot more than they would be. I mean, if average stack there is 50 bigs, he's always going to call. But it's so shallow, so awkward. Very much an ICM disaster spot as we go and the blinds get bigger. Don't hate the fold. Wants to keep himself at the sort of top reaches of the chip counts.
Yeah, I think in retrospect it does make a lot of sense to fold there, but yeah, it's very uncomfortable, especially.
It's a painful one, yeah.
It's annoying, isn't it? It is annoying.
It is.
But yeah, Mark.
Now, speaking of interesting spots, Vegard is sending it against the open. Quite surprised to see it being very tight so far. Does believe he has fold equity, rejamming 12 bigs. This is exactly a similar sort of situation. When people rejam here, you have to call so tight. Ace-10 off, put in a very awkward spot here.
Yeah, I think ace-10 off, king-queen off are hands that kind of have to fold versus this. It's very difficult to raise call, especially as you know, particularly someone from the big blind is somewhat incentivized to defend as opposed to jam. So it does seem that the jam is that little bit stronger. And also the fact that you are 10 big blinds effective, Mark will be thinking, am I really perceived to be that wide here as well? So it's an aggressive take from Vegard, but it might work out. Well for him.
Does work out for Vegard. Perfectly timed rejam. Can't really blame Mark there. You are going to run into a nutted range a lot. Vegard up to 12 million, was down as short as 2.8 just around 30 minutes ago. Gets it through, gets himself up to around about 15 bigs. Very nicely played.
That he does. Great to see. And he started the day with, I think, was it 2.9 million?
Yeah, I think he had 4 to start, maybe 4.4. Blinds ate him up a little bit. And he has managed to quadruple that stack within the last orbit or so.
Big move. He'll be very happy now. His ICM value has probably gone up thousands and thousands of pounds, which is very exciting when you are on a little bit of a final table heater if you come in short and things start going well. And that's why it's so important to make sure that you do preserve that tournament life and try and navigate as best as possible.
For sure, Michael with 11 bigs and ace queen off will be sending them in.
Yeah, no messing around. Like it. Don't really want to raise and allow a small pocket pair that may just fold to the jam to jam in there and flip. So,
Hendrick with the same hand. He is going to call.
Yeah.
Snaps it off, barring some very unfortunate flush for either player. All 4 suits are live, Gio, for some pain.
2 spades on the flop, I think, is going to be the one. No, no fun.
Going to chop it up.
Ooh.
No sweats for the sickos in the booth. Yeah, they are going to chop it up. Guys, whilst the dealer divides that pot, gives me a quick opportunity to let you know the upcoming plans in the next 12 to 18 months or so at Dusk Till Dawn. Throwing a lot of money at a brand new stream setup, Gio, which is good news for us. It looks pretty sick. Massive LED screen, excuse me. It's going to be pretty amazing. Going to be lots and lots of events coming up from DTD. Already one of the premium card rooms in Europe, as you know, looking to make it the best streamed card room in Europe. And yeah, next month we have the World Series of Poker Circuit Event Series, £1,100, 500k main event. That's going to be a big one. And in April, we've said it all week, the man himself, the poker brat, Mr. Phil Hellmuth, he is coming to Dusk Till Dawn for the first time in April for a high-stakes cash stream. So keep your eyes peeled. We will be releasing the lineup for that in due course. Gio, big Philly Hellmuth, is on his way to Nottingham.
Honey, he called me with Queen 10. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And obviously the smart heads at DTD recognizing the growth in the streaming market and putting their money where their mouth is and laying a challenge to the unnamed rivals over the Atlantic. So good moves all round, and happy to see more of a hotbed for UK poker being broadcast to the world where it should be.
For sure. Now, interesting here. Dimitri opening under the gun with the King Queen. Ignacio with a very wide peel +1. And wow, he just drills top set.
Mamma mia. That is
expect
quite...
him to peel pre-2 often here off 22 or so bigs.
Quite the adventurous peel, exactly, yeah. Just knew the 6 was coming. Sometimes...
Very unfortunate for him here. He's not going to get any action.
Yeah, but at the same time, fortunate that he hits the 6 after making such an outrageous peel, right? So it works a couple of ways.
Telling you, I like my pick, and I believe Ignacio has taken the chip lead.
Yeah.
Up to 24 million.
If he were online, he would have that red ring of fire around his name.
Running hot, I believe they call it.
Running hot.
He is running hot so far. I think he has won almost every hand he has played. Dimitri still in second place, and a bunch of medium stacks right behind the two of them.
Yeah, I'm still comfortable with my pick. Endrit lurking in the shadows, but he's going to come and lay down the final punch, I'm sure.
Well, obviously you just pick the favorite, Gio. I like to live dangerously, my friend.
Yeah, I'd be getting booted out of the WhatsApp group if I didn't pick him, I think. So I've got my own bacon to save.
Does fold round to Vegard. 15 bigs effective in the cutoff. Does have an interesting decision here, Gio. You can just open this hand and, maybe fold to a couple of all-ins behind or an all-in of someone you perceive to be very tight, or you can just open jam. Either option open to Vegard here.
second option for me. I think it's pretty dicey. Lots of sort of similar-ish stacks around the table, and again, just don't really want to raise fold this hand. So just happy to take the bull by the horns there, rip it in, and go for the jugular and get it through most of the time.
Yeah,
Put
and he
people in a
does
tough spot.
just that, up to 14 million.
Yeah.
Interesting there also with Endrit on the button, capable of reshoving, you know, some hands that we do very well against and have to fold. And also Dimitri in the big blind, who will defend correctly.
Yeah.
I do agree with you. I like jam.
Yeah, those hands like Queen Jack suited, King 9 suited, King Queen suited, all defend and all have a lot of equity versus us. So just happy to pick up the 2.5 BB and move along. And if we do run into it, so be it. We do get called by some pocket pairs that we're flipping against, which wouldn't be the end of the world. But yeah, I like to see him take the onus there. It's a bold play. It's obviously when you are 8 left and playing for Chunkingtons up top, can be a little bit scary, but certainly played well.
Vegard is on the move, ladies and gentlemen. Does have a lot of support in the Twitch chat streets. And yeah, after seeing him rejam that King Jack, he's clearly not afraid to, you know, trust his reads and put it on the line. He's moved himself up to around about 15 million, not far off the chip lead. And, you know, just about 40 minutes ago, he had 4 big blinds. Shows how quickly it can change.
Yeah. And my namesake there, Georgie, finding the ace on the button off of the short stack, piling it in and steaming it through. Happy days for him. He's up to 8 bigs.
Absolutely. As you see, guys, these very, very bunched together stacks. Even a double from Michael, second bottom in chips, is going to put him into second place. As you see on the screen, guys, the festival series is coming to Malta, May 15th to 21st. Please check out thefestival.com. Our schedule just got released this week. I've had a look at it myself. It is a banging lineup, Gio.
Absolute fire.
Get yourselves checking that out, guys. Thefestival.com. Get the early flights booked. Open Skyscanner. Tell your lady or man you're taking them on a nice little holiday. Arrive in Malta, send them to the beach, and off you go to Port Tommaso Casino. They won't mind. They'll be in the sun. Your relationship will survive, Gio.
That's the key thing as a poker player, right? You've got to keep the better half happy. And what more could you want than a little bit of sun, sangria, and maybe some nice men for her to look at whilst you're in there slaving away in the seat.
There you go. You get to look at bodies on the beach. The Festival Series Malta, guys. What more can you want? Now, Dimitri has been very fearless, recognizing Ace-7 is more than good enough for an open on the button. And now Mark, interesting, does defend the Queen-8. Dicey stuff when the stacks are all so bunched together. But it's going to work out again. Poor Dimitri on the driest of dry boards.
Yeah,
so many times here, he keeps running into it.
Probably going to see him continue for sort of 20-25% sizing here. Does check it back. Okay, fair enough.
Find the check back. Very problematic here. Mark is going to lead the turn, you would suspect. And Dimitri, a little too much hand to fold turn.
Definitely.
Does have a gut shot and an overcard. Mark is going to have some semi-bluffs in there. Does bet a very small sizing. Interesting choice.
Yeah, no choice but to call. We've got that 7 of spades that could come in handy if we do see a, you know, the jack of spades on the river or something like that. He could maybe turn his hand into a bluff to try and target 8x, 4x.
This could be very interesting.
Yeah, what's Mark thinking now? He blocks King Queen, which is a hand that Dimitri always has in this line, but getting a little bit interesting if he does want to value bet. It's kind of an uncomfortable one.
Yeah, Dimitri, you know, has enough showdown to check. Mark is going to be perceived to have enough, little, you know, turn stabs that have decided to give up. Maybe a hand like 9-10 of spades, Jack 9 of spades and stuff. We can beat all of those. We can beat a hand like Queen 6 of clubs that had 1 stab and decided not to bluff the king. So yeah, I think check seems reasonable from Dimitri. Unfortunately, Mark sitting with the pair of 8s. It's been a very rocky road for Dimitri, but he's very composed, still in the mix.
Tricky spot there for Mark if he were to go for the double block again with d8, just getting a little bit greedy versus the ace highs there. Does open the door for the king being a much better card for Dimitri to potentially have to face a river raise, which would be extremely uncomfortable there with our queen 8. So does elect to take it to showdown, check to side, and fortunate to see the check back there, and no stress for him. Just picks up a nice small pot, and that's the name of the game in the final tables, right? Just picking up the small pots, kind of edging your way closer to that sort of top 3 contention with 8 left. Good stuff from Mark.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of no stress, Ignacio ace king off on the button. It does look as if he will get no action. Had his chip lead, has came into the day, had around about 6 million to start play, 6 to 7 mil, sitting pretty at the top of the leaderboard, 24 million chips. Endrit, Sean, Mark, Dimitri, all bunched behind Vegard and Sean on the shorter stacks. But everybody is in contention here. It's really going to come down to Gio at some point on who runs the best in these all-ins, because they're going to be coming soon.
Dicey rip with some love. It's my good friend Mark Dyson, very well esteemed poker player.
I know, Mark. Nice to see you, buddy. And thanks for the love.
And
Couple of G's, eh? Couple of G's and comms.
Yeah, I'll take that all day. And we've also got some support for Nacho, Senkel as well in there supporting, and Matrix coming in with the controversial statement: Simon Georgie is the biggest fish. Well, he sat there on the main event final table, and you're sat at home, my friend. So
it's very true. Coming in, throwing shade. You hate to see it.
Yeah.
It's like the Wild West out there these days in the Twitch chat, Gio. You know what it's like.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did look.
Wild West, Ignacio. Looking to put his foot down.
Yeah, that is pretty wild. The 9-8 there, going for it. Mark laying down the hammer.
Nice awareness. Very nice awareness. Rifles 20 bigs in his eye. In fact, the blinds are now up, guys. It's getting very dicey now. 500k, 1 million does find a jam. We are going to see lots of all-in pre-flop action, you would imagine, until we lose some players and the stacks start to stabilize.
Yeah, my prediction is we're going to get another sort of 20-25 minutes of caginess, and then we're going to see a sort of bust-out bonanza as we sort of move to 4 or 5 left, because there is just nowhere to hide now. We've had now 2 big blind increases, and as you see, Michael and Georgie, who have had their fair share of shove spots and kind of kept themselves alive. It's really tricky now because there's just that much added pressure, and the spots just cannot wait. Simply, you will have to take it, and before too long, they will run into some kind of calling hand. And here we go, Georgie, as mentioned, 8s under the gun 1, 7 bigs, an absolute print. And he'll be extremely happy to see that, as he will be paying the big blind and big blind ante in 2 hands. So delight. And yeah.
Here we go. Time to ship it. And this is going to be our first big all-in showdown. As we just discussed, no way Mark is going anywhere here.
No, no, no.
Can go either way here. You could potentially just call and see if one of the 25 big blind stacks behind jams. They're going to play very honest, but would expect him to ISO jam this a good amount of the time. Does come with call. I think I like it.
I like it as well. I think this is great. I think that you really, as you said, you really get an honest reaction from the players behind, and ace queen is going to dry up in value, but oh, we do have the 15 and the 12, so yeah, maybe the rejam. I thought that Dimitri was there lurking in the big blind.
I thought there was a 25 bigs behind. In any case, they are all in. Georgie, pocket 8s, looking to hold up against Mark. Every flip, Gio, so big now.
Absolutely. We saw an ace folded, so in pretty decent shape, as you can see in the graphic, 58%, and I'm sure the biggest flip of his life.
He is holding so far. Jack 3-6. Mark with
Clean-ish.
some backdoors.
Clean-ish. Always a sweat.
And
Oh!
there we go. Georgie drilling the turn. Mark drawing dead. Big double up for Georgie, and he is right back in the hunt for this title.
The boat is full, and the Hungarian man is making a charge. Love to see it.
What a sweet feeling, Gio. You're sweating it. You're like, no king of diamonds.
Yeah, no 10, no ace, no queen, no diamond. Just hold. And yeah, the 8 can definitely...
Wow, look at this leaderboard. This is going to be very messy.
My word, we've got a 21
shallow.
big blind chip leader. And they're just playing for absolute mountains of buy-ins as well. This is really where you see the players that have studied, that aren't scared to take the rejam spots. They're going to be the ones with the advantage here. And yeah, sometimes you just got to grab yourself and go for it. And that's exactly what it's going to take to get your personalized caricature and main event win. Let's see who does it.
Personalized caricature. I'm sure that's all the players are worried about, Gio, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, you could just go to any kind of beach resort and get that done by a fairly dodgy guy in the street corner for a $5. But it is a sort of trademark of the festival, and it does go down very well.
You know where has beach resorts, Gio? Malta, baby. Anyway, before we get into that, Ignacio, pocket queens, has been very active, and we've seen Sean like to get involved with these mediocre hands, and he does find a good fold. Nice to see.
Yeah, Sean's a man that's just kind of winging it and learning on the fly. He might have realized his ace-5 was a little bit wide, and now starting to shore it up, starts to understand that the stacks are very tight. Not a lot of incentive for Ignacio to raise super wide here.
Absolutely. I will run you through the payouts, guys, to give you a nice understanding of what the players are playing for. Very, very cagey final table now. Still 8-handed, which we are very surprised.